The Companies Act 1956. Today our attention is towards Section 16 of the Companies Act 1956, which will enable us to alter the memorandum of association of a company. Section 13 provides provisions about the memorandum of association, and it enables us to understand what the memorandum of association states. So in short, let us revisit Section 13 of the Companies Act 1956, form of memorandum. The memorandum of every company shall state, this is what subsection 1 of Section 13 of the Companies Act 1956 says, the memorandum of every company shall state following 5 points. Let us understand the 5 points in subsection 1 of Section 13. The memorandum of every company shall state the name of the company with limited as the last word of the name in the case of a public limited company. So, in the case of a public limited company, the memorandum shall state the name of the company with limited as the last word of the name. And when it comes to the private limited company, the memorandum of every company shall state with private limited as the last words of the name in the case of a private limited company. Again, let us understand in the language of the Companies Act 1956. Subsection 1 of Section 13 says, the memorandum of every company shall state the name of the company with a limited as the last word of the name in the case of a public limited company, and with private limited as the last words of the name in the case of a private limited company. Let us go to second point in subsection 1. The memorandum of every company shall state the state in which the registered office of the company is to be situate. Third point in subsection 1. The memorandum of every company shall state in the case of a company in existence immediately before the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965 the objects of the company. Third point is, the memorandum of every company shall state the objects of the company, where in the case of a company in existence immediately before the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965. Let us go to fourth point in subsection 1 of Section 13. The memorandum of every company shall state in the case of a company formed after such commencement here after such commencement means after such commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965. So in third point of subsection 1 of Section 13 we were referring in the case of a company in existence immediately before the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965. Now in the fourth point, after the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965. So let us understand what it is going to inform us. This provision carries. This fourth point also requests us that the memorandum of every company shall state the main objects of the company to be pursued by the company on its incorporation, and objects incidental or ancillary to the attainment of the main objects, and other objects of the company not included in subclass 1 of subsection 1 of Section 13. So in both third point and fourth point, whether the company is in existence immediately before the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965 or after the commencement of the Companies Amendment Act 1965. In both cases, companies are required to ensure that the memorandum of their companies state the objects. So let us go to fifth point in subsection 1 of section 13. In the case of companies, the memorandum of every company shall state, other than trading corporations with objects not confined to one state, the states to whose territories the objects extend. So if the business of any company extends beyond the states of the state wherein the registered office is situated, in such case, such a company is required to ensure that the memorandum of such a company states the other states where the business extends. So, like this, the provisions of section 13 states for above said 5 points. Now, after the memorandum states all above provisions, it gets printed and kept at the registered office. So now, after printing the memorandum of association, if at all company requires to alter any provision of the memorandum or any provision or any condition in the memorandum, it needs to alter it. How can it alter? This is what we are going to understand now. Section 17 of the Companies Act 1956, Section 16 of the Companies Act 1956, Alteration of Memorandum. Subsection 1 of Section 16 says, a company shall not alter the conditions contained in its memorandum except in the cases, except in the mode, and except to the extent for which the express provision is made in this Act. Please recollect these provisions of section 13 we were referring. There, what memorandum states are treated as provisions or conditions of section 13. Now, subsection 1 of section 16 says, if a company shall not alter the conditions, what conditions? Conditions specified in section 13 of the Companies Act 1956. A company shall not alter the conditions contained in its memorandum except in the cases, except in the mode, and except to the extent for which express provision is made in this Act. So as long as the express provision is made in this Companies Act 1956, one is enabled to alter the conditions or one is enabled to alter the provisions of its memorandum. Let us go to second point, that is subsection 2 of section 16. Only those provisions which are required by section 13. Please recollect, we were referring the provisions of section 13. Now subsection 2 of section 16 says same thing. Only those provisions, which provisions are these, which are required by section 13 or by any other specific provision contained in this Act to be stated in the memorandum of the company concerned shall be deemed to be conditions contained in its memorandum. So section 13 was telling us the memorandum of each company states 5 points. That 5 conditions may be changed, may be altered as far as subsection 2 of section 16 says. Let us go to subsection 3 of section 16. Other provisions contained in the memorandum, including those relating to the appointment of a managing director or relating to the appointment of a manager, may be altered in the same manner as the articles of the company. But if there is any express provision in this Act permitting of the alteration of such provisions in any other manner, they may also be altered in such other manner. So if at all any other manner is highlighted or provided in the Companies Act, subsection 3 of section 16 says us we can alter those other provisions. What are those other provisions? Subsection 3 of section 16 says like appointment of managing director or appointment of manager. These provisions were not mentioned in the memorandum or the memorandum of the articles, memorandum of the association is not going to put the statements of appointment of the managing director, appointment of the manager. Let us go to subsection 4 of section 16 of the Companies Act 1956. All references to the articles of a company in this act shall be construed as including references to other provisions aforesaid contained in its memorandum. So here we are able to understand how we can alter memorandum of a company.